8 miles south of Ashby de la Zouch and 9 miles north of Nuneaton lies the small Leicestershire village of Shackerstone. This is the home of the Battlefield Line and the Shackerstone Railway Society. Built in 1873, Shackerstone Junction Station was one of more than a dozen stations that formed the Ashby and Nuneaton Joint Railway. The line ran from Nuneaton Trent Valley to Shackerstone and then on to Moira and Colville, where it joined the Leicester-Burton line. The line was jointly built and operated by the Midland Railway and the London North Western Railway Companies, neither of which had sufficient funds to build a railway into this important part of the northwest Leicestershire coalfield alone. A battle had raged over the rights to such a railway from 1845. During the legal manoeuvrings, the Midland were forced into purchasing the Ashby Canal to stave off the opposition, but it was 1869 before the two companies decided to go into partnership together. The first goods train ran on August 1, 1873, and the first passenger service 1 month later. Trade and passengers steadily increased on the line. Market Bosworth was the major stop on the line. Both livestock and agricultural produce were often exported from this historic town. The Ashby and Nuneaton even had its own uniform and badges because of its joint ownership. The First World War saw many of the men conscripted into the army, some of their posts taken over by women to fill the shortfall in manpower. A further railway that went to Loughborough was added in 1883. This line could only be accessed from the Ashby and Nuneaton joint. This was the Charnwood Forest line and was operated by the LNWR, both with conventional steam-hauled trains and later by rail carriages. The late 1890s and early 1900s were the highlights of the railway's existence, with Edward VII regularly visiting the local stately home for the sport. December 1902 saw a full-scale royal visit only a few months after the King and Queen had been crowned. Many preparations were made for the arrival of the royal party to Shackerstone Station. Electric lighting was installed, and part of the station platform was raised to ease their alightment. Various local railway inspectors and police officers were on hand to check all was well. Services peaked on the line in 1922, with 5 passenger trains passing daily in both directions, plus the large amount of goods traffic. The following year saw the absorption of the line into the LMS. Passenger traffic was on the wane, and in 1931 regular services ceased. Goods and mineral traffic continued alone. The Second World War saw the line as a useful diversion for trains avoiding bombings around the nearby towns and cities. Market Bosworth was used as a fuel dump, Gopsall Hall near Shackerstone as a REME radar training camp for the Army. After the war, the line slowly declined as the pits closed and goods services were diverted elsewhere. Occasionally, a special passenger train packed with enthusiasts would run the length of the line, stopping at various stations along the tour. 1964 saw the closure of the Colville branch, and the whole line was finally axed in 1970. But this was not to be the end of the Ashby and Nuneaton. In 1969, a small band of enthusiasts had purchased a steam locomotive and were looking for a home for it. With the line closed to commercial traffic, British Rail started to dismantle the railway and sell off the track bed to landowners. The enthusiast bought Shackerstone Station and part of the track. From then on, this neglected part of the rail network was in safe hands. The Society started running steam train rides in the early 1970s with special open days. These would draw large crowds to Shackerstone Station, not only to see the trains, but also a variety of other vintage attractions. Facilities for the engines at the time were very rudimentary. The mode of transport was rather basic for both passengers and livestock too. The trains at that time only operated around the station site before they started to run to Market Bosworth, 3 miles to the south. The Shackerston Railway Society now operates on a 5-mile length of the original track, from Shackerston Junction to Shenton, the site of the 1485 Battle of Bosworth Field.